I can tell you exactly what the Florida Gators need to do in order to beat the Kentucky Wildcats tomorrow.
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Gators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free reviews of the podcast and on YouTube. Happy Friday. I'm Brandon Olsen. Find me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all of my written work with New York Giants on SI. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets. Guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. And like I said, the way that the Florida Gators can win this game, it's obviously score more points than them. Who would have thought? But also winning on the edges defensively, I think is going to be a big factor here. Kentucky, we've talked about this. Kentucky has offensive line play. That's the only way I know how to describe it. It's very... I don't want to sound rude when I say this, but it's kind of the only word that I know to use to describe them. But mid, average, not good. I can tell you that at the offensive tackle spot, it's just not good for Kentucky right now. Hasn't been good this season, neither in pass blocking nor in run blocking. They just have not been good on the edges. Interior, still not great. Not bad, though. I don't think that their interior overall as a unit has been bad. I do think their tackle play overall has been pretty bad so far. This is a team that they want to go through their offense, again, playing ugly football, being built through their offensive line, running the football, doing all those things. And that's what they do. They even run to the edges more frequently there than anywhere else. That's what they look for. That's why I say you have to win on the edges, because winning on the edges isn't just the typical way that when you go, oh, win on the edges, I think a lot of people go, oh, okay, get a good pass rush off the edge. Yeah, but that's not all that I'm saying. I'm saying to keep runs from breaking out wide. And it's not that I go, oh, yeah, the secondary is not good at tackling. They've improved in recent weeks. I will also say this. Don't be shocked if Kentucky's run game is considerably better than we saw Tennessee or Mississippi State. Those two, and even UCF, those are all very gimmicky style run game. This is more pro style. Tennessee, Mississippi State are more veer and shoot. UCF is more college spread option type run. And then Kentucky is more of a pro style run game where they're going to go, hey, we're going to run counter, we're going to run trap, we're going to run pin pull, and we're just going to beat the crap out of you. And that's their plan. The way that they've been doing that more often than not is on the edges. They've created big plays on the edges. They create a lot of plus runs. They create some pretty explosive runs at times, right? When running outside of their left tackle, running outside of the tight end on the left side, they have 5.2 yards per carry, okay? When running outside of the right tackle, running outside the tight end on the right side, so on the right side of the right tackle, averaging 4.7 yards per carry, okay? That's a pretty damn good clip to have there on the edge. Florida needs to win on the edges there. I do think, again, Florida's defensive line matches up fairly well there, but you need to win on the edge. And a lot of that is going to come down to linebacker play, not necessarily just the edge. It's going to come down to linebackers coming down, filling their assignment and playing their responsibility. Sharif Denson coming down and running the alley. That's going to be a major part of this. And I will also say this, that for running on the outside of the edges, for Kentucky, they've been picking up most of these yards prior to contact. So it's not like, oh, yeah, they're getting on the edge and then creating these huge run after contact gains. No, they're pretty consistently picking up just big gains and then getting tackled in space. Win on the edges, and then guess what happens? You win on the edges, you force them into passing situations that, look, and this isn't a knock on Kentucky's style of play or anything like that, but this is a team that's built to be able to run the football and be in manageable situations throwing the ball. You force them into 2nd and 9, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 12 in that range because you defend the edge well. That's not the spot they want to be in. Like, that's not how Kentucky wants to play football. It's not that they can't play football, but it's not how they want to play football. And what you want to do as a defense is make the opponent play a brand of football, a style of football that they don't want to play. And so when you stop the runs on the edges and you get them in those 3rd and longs, you completely eliminate the play action passing game. When you can completely eliminate the play action passing game, you can just pin your ears back and get after Brock Vandegrift, okay? Or Gavin Wimsatt if he's in at that time. But this is a team that they utilize play action pretty well. It's basically a third of their pass attempts come on play action. They utilize them pretty well, and they look to take shots on play action, okay? They're trying to get you coming up to the line of scrimmage by running the football. And then when they take a play action or when they run a play fake, they want to throw deep because you've come up to the line of scrimmage now. And that's how they beat teams. That's how they take deep shots. That's how they take advantage there. So for Florida, you win on the edges, you're probably going to get Kentucky into 3rd and what's manageable for you and pretty tough to manage for Kentucky. And then when you've got them in those obvious passing situations, you get to just pin your ears back and get after them. Because again, this Kentucky team, not a very good blocking team on the edge. Their tackles are, again, like I've said, relatively unimpressive. True pass sets, one of their starting tackles, Marcus Cox has had 60 pass blocking reps. He's allowed pressures on 8 of them. That is not a good number. Not a good number. And then you look at Gerald Mincey, former Florida Gator. He's had 56 pass blocking reps in true pass sets, and he's allowed 9 pressures on those. Not a good number, okay? So I think that when you look at those and when you watch the film, you could see like they're not like that. Gerald Mincey is someone that I kind of thought would move to guard at some point. I don't think that he would be an NFL tackle, but at this point, he's not even working out as an SEC tackle. So rough stuff there. But when I look at how to beat this Kentucky team, that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at winning on the edges. I think that you have to do that. And again, I don't just mean edge rusher wins there. I mean, linebacker comes down, makes a play. Safety comes down, makes a play. Nickel comes down and makes a play. Winning on those edges, outside those tight end spots, which again, you've got to be able to man up with the tight ends and line up there, which I do think can kind of benefit Florida a little bit. You get a guy like Pup closer to the line of scrimmage because he's like, hey, tight end here, I have to be aware of him. You could just come downhill now and engage with that tight end and win that rep. And then Florida's offense going to look different with DJ Lagway starting. We'll talk about that next on Locked On Gators. Guys, if you ever feel like you need a little boost in the bedroom, probably shouldn't put that much emphasis on little. It's time you stop worrying about your performance and get Hims so you can feel confident whenever you're in the mood. Hims is changing men's healthcare by providing you with access to affordable sexual health treatments from the comfort of your couch. No insurance is needed, and one low price covers everything from treatments to ongoing care. And with hundreds of thousands of trusted subscribers, Hims can help you find the ED option that works for you. So start your free online visit today at hims.com/lockedon. That's HIMS.com/lockedon for your personalized ED treatment options. hims.com/lockedon. The products mentioned are chewable, compounded products which are not approved by or verified for safety or effectiveness by the FDA. Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription is required and prices vary based on product and the subscription plan. And I don't know if you can see the shirt that I'm rocking right now, but I'm rocking it specifically for this because we get to brag on it a little bit, right? It's Home Field Apparel, the best place to get Florida Gators gear. Or if you're not a Florida Gators fan, you can go somewhere else too. That's fine. That's cool with you. Florida Gators fan, also have some Toledo stuff from them. But I love Home Field Apparel's work. I love their shirts. They're the most comfy shirts that I have. You will see me wear. I want to say I've got 7 shirts from Home Field Apparel and a pair of sweats. No, I have a pair of sweats, but I think it's 7 shirts. Great material, great fit. I love it. Love the style too. Love the color too. My 2-bit shirt, my favorite shirt. Go to homefieldapparel.com and use code Gators24 to save yourself some money with homefieldapparel.com. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Every day we are available daily and free wherever you listen to the podcast and on YouTube. And I think one of the keys for this game with the Florida Gators offensively, obviously we're going to talk about take the deep shot. Graham Mertz is ruled out with a torn ACL for the remainder of the season, so it's DJ Lagway's team. Deep shots are going to be a thing that you're probably going to see a lot of. That's what DJ Lagway likes to do. He looks for the deep shot. Like, he drops back and he's going high to low read. Like, he's looking for the deep shot. He's looking to make those plays. And everyone loves it, right? Big, poppy plays. He shows off the arm. He makes some throws that you go, well, and I will say this, DJ Lagway has made some throws this season where personally I'm like, oh, that was a risky throw. I don't like the risk attached with that throw, but he's got the arm arrogance to make that throw and make it happen. And that's one thing that really pops with him is he can make those FU throws basically, right? But one thing that he has that really differentiates him from Graham Mertz is his mobility. And I've talked about this previously, and I know that I've tweeted about it, and responses have basically been, he's not Anthony Richardson. He's not that level of athlete. I'm not saying he is, because I think pretty much everybody knows that. They're different athletes, right? DJ Lagway is more of the stocky, but stocky. He's 6'3", 240. So he's more that side compared to AR, who is taller. And I think that DJ Lagway, or leaner, we'll say, DJ Lagway has way more power and wants to run with way more power. They're different stylistically as runners. So yeah, when I tweet the video of Anthony Richardson's 60-yard touchdown run running split zone read against Texas A&M in 2022, and of course Florida Gators fans go, oh, DJ Lagway doesn't have that kind of mobility. He's not going to break those kinds of runs. I don't need him to, okay? I know a lot of people look at plays as pick up massive gains. I look at a lot of plays as, will this get us first downs or closer to first downs? Will it make those conversions easier? I don't care too much about if you're having a long, sustained drive, if you're scoring points and getting touchdowns at the end of it. DJ Lagway's mobility is a threat. Sure, he's not Anthony Richardson athletic. Okay? I'm not going to say that anybody is Anthony Richardson athletic, because from a pure testing standpoint, Anthony Richardson is the most athletic quarterback to ever grace a football field. Okay? His relative athletic score is a 10.00 out of 10.00. Better than Cam, Mike Vick, Lamar, who had limited testing, Jaden Daniels limited testing. But AR, number one there. Not going to dispute that. However, DJ Lagway still has the athletic ability to create plays as a runner. He does. You have to use his legs smart, though. And one thing that I've drawn up on the whiteboard, if you're watching, you get to see the whiteboard. If you're not watching, that's fine, is the split zone read play, okay? Split zone read, again, my favorite concept, or my favorite run concept in football there, where you've got, and again, for those listening, you've got the running back, we'll say QB and shotgun in this example. You can run it out of the pistol as well. But you've got the QB and shotgun running back to his right, okay? Tight end is on the left side of the offensive line outside the left tackle. When you snap the ball, DJ Lagway reads like a normal read option, right? Like his part is just normal read option. He's reading the backside edge. If he hands it off, he hands it off. If he keeps it, he keeps it. But the tight end on the left side is actually pulling behind the entire offensive line to the right side, to that side that has the backside edge. And he will have the choice to block that backside edge or just go downfield and start picking up the next player. But split zone read, my favorite run concept in football, right? It's split zone read, it's GH counter, it's GT counter. Like those are my things. But one reason that I really want Florida to emphasize split zone read, you watch the game against Tennessee and they brought out one of my favorite passing concepts, which is the slide. Okay. And the slide is that play that you see where we saw, I believe, Hayden and Arliss, and I think they ran it with Chim DK as well during the Tennessee game, where let's say we'll say Arliss here, right? We'll use Arliss because he's more of the receiving tight end. So Arliss is behind or on the left side of the line, behind the left tackle, not directly, but offset right behind him. You run that little play fake with the running back on the right side of DJ Lagway. So you run that play fake, and Arliss pulls behind the offensive line. He does not cross the line of scrimmage. I'm not talking about a drag route. Does not cross the line of scrimmage, and he runs pull as if he's a puller behind the offensive line, and he just keeps going to the flat, right? And then DJ Lagway, after the play fake, throws it to Arliss in the flat. He turns catch and run opportunity. We saw Florida do it quite a few times against Tennessee. It's something that Billy Napier did a lot at Louisiana, has done at Florida, albeit not as frequently as I personally would have done it, considering how the offense he wants to run, how it works. But when you run split zone read, okay, you run split zone read, and you have the tight end basically pulling, right, behind the line of scrimmage. Whether you keep it or run it, irrelevant to this conversation. But you have split zone read, right? You know what happens then? They're looking for that, right? So what do? You have that tight end leak out to the flat, and you throw to him. That's one of the things about offense that I understand when Billy Napier tries to do some of these things, right? Like I understand when Billy Napier goes, hey, we want to do some things that look similar but have different wrinkles. You know, it's why they run the jet motion, and whether or not they give it to them or not. Like it's why they use the jet motion so often. It's why they use the reverse motion so often, as in the when they snap it and then fake the reverse. They do it a lot. I get it. But there's supposed to be different wrinkles to it that you add in, right? Or take away. Because you could go, oh, but this is what we're looking for, and you actually revert to what you used to do. Split zone read, boot slide combo, you haven't done that much. And part of that is because you haven't run much split zone read with Graham Mertz at quarterback for the past year and a half. But now that you have the more mobile option, you can run split zone read, you can run the boot slide, and you can find some success and attack defenses and give them similar looks, but with a wrinkle added to it. You can get better as a coach. Regardless of how I feel about Billy Napier's long-term status at the University of Florida, short-term status, anything, you can do this. That helps you be better as a coach, better as a play caller, better as a game planner. You can still do that. I will also say this as far as just strictly DJ Lagway is concerned. I need him to be a smarter runner himself. Okay? I need him to start sliding. I need him to get north-south. It drove me crazy to watch him just run to the side, like run horizontally to the sideline. If you're running diagonal and you're still picking up yardage and getting it, that's fine. But I don't want my quarterback running straight into the sideline. Just that doesn't make sense to me when you're just running horizontally. You're just opening yourself up to hits. You're opening yourself up to someone coming from behind you and punching the ball out. Because think about it. You're supposed to keep, or technically, your plan is to keep the ball on the outside arm, right? So that if it gets punched out, it's going to the sideline so that you can hand fight with people. But if you're running horizontally, you don't have an outside arm. Someone can come from behind you and punch it out, and someone can come from in front of you and punch it out. You don't have the outside arm where you go, oh, well, this should bounce out of bounds anyway. There's no protection, no hand fighting going on there. get north-south, slide. Like, play smart football, especially now that you are QB1 for the remainder of the season. Play smart football because you need to protect yourself. And I know that there will be limitations with the QB run game because of the depth. I understand that. However, again, slide, protect yourself, get out of bounds, avoid contact. I understand you're a big dude. I get it. You can plow people over. Protect yourself, protect this football team, and win some more football games. Speaking of protection and winning more football games, we will talk about what Florida needs to do, the final thing, to beat Kentucky next on Locked On Gators. Hey, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats. Like yesterday, Devon Vele had a lot of targets early on. He was getting targets throughout the game. Maybe you wanted to live bet his catches, yards, whatever it may be. You can do that on FanDuel while actively looking at the stats and seeing what's happening presently in the game. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Every day we are available daily and free wherever you listen to the podcast and on YouTube. And the last thing that I am going to somewhat harp on that the Florida Gators need to do against Kentucky in order to win the game is play clean football. And by clean football, again, this goes back to what I talked about yesterday, what we've talked about previously, involving Kentucky specifically, is what I've said countless times, right? Don't argue with an idiot because they'll drag you down to their level and beat you with experience, and that's what Kentucky does. They drag you down to ugly football, and they beat you with experience because that's what they want to do, that's what they can do, that's what they're built to do. I fully understand it. It's not even as simple as avoid that. It's not even as simple as take care of the football, which, by the way, in the Tennessee game, DJ Lagway threw that ugly interception to Orion Carter, who was standing right there. And DJ Lagway, like, again, I understand Tennessee was prepared for that. It was something that they've seen before, so they knew where to go, and they had their coverage called. Just because they have the coverage called and they know what you were doing doesn't mean you need to throw that ball there when there's someone there. So the TJ Lagway pick was a very bad pick last week. Just getting that out there. That was a very bad interception last week. Needs to be better in terms of taking care of the ball there. The fumble, of course, the only fumble last week was Graham Mertz, who unfortunately will not be playing in this game. But again, like I said a minute and a half ago, it's not as simple as just saying take care of the football. It's something that we spoke about weeks ago with the penalties that this team has, I guess, I don't want to say sustained because they've done it to themselves, but offensively last week they had 4 penalties, which isn't an insane number, more than you'd like, but not an insane number, right? However, let's look at those penalties. Okay. First off, you had a special teams procedural penalty of the 12 men on the field, which, of course, if you remember, the 12 men on the field penalty was at the end of the first half, and Florida was going to kick a field goal to go up 6-0, but 12 men on the field penalty, 10-second runoff, Florida did not get an opportunity to kick another field goal, and so instead went into half 3-0. Hindsight, those extra 3 points could have decided the game, because if you had those extra 3 points, especially going at the end of regulation when you scored a touchdown there, we wouldn't even be talking about a 2-point conversion or PAT. You'd have won the game there with those 3 extra points. But just like to say that. So missed out on 3 points at the end of half field goal because of a 12 men on the field penalty. That's bad football. Okay. You had should we jump? We won't jump. Okay. In the second half, we'll go in chronological order. In the second half, you had a delay of game that stunted a drive and forced you into a 3rd and 13 which you did not convert, and you ended up punting. And we talked about this with the Texas A&M game, where there were multiple penalties that extended drives for Texas A&M, multiple penalties that slowed drives for Florida or killed drives for Florida. Against Tennessee, defensively, no penalties. No penalties extending drives, nothing. Okay? But offensively, you had 12 men on, well, special teams, we'll say for that one. Offensively, delay of game that led to the drive ending in a punt, right? Then you go to the last drive of regulation, and you had a false start on that last drive, which, yes, you overcame, you threw a touchdown, beautiful. However, it forced you into a 3rd and 17, 3rd and 19 that DJ Lagway threw the touchdown on, which, great to see that. Love seeing that. Great play by DJ and a great moment, big moment for a true freshman to come up and make that play. Huge. However, you made life harder for yourself in a game where you consistently made life harder for yourself. Need to clean that up. Okay? And now we go to overtime, where Florida, of course, was facing the Tennessee Volunteers, got the football first. Then they had a false start that put them in a longer situation. Then, of course, they called a bad screenplay that put them in an even longer situation and caused them to miss a field goal. You lost 5 yards because of the false start. You lost 5 yards because of the screenplay. You missed a 47-yard field goal. Okay? Some of you may know where I'm going with this because it's similar to the spot that I was at last year with Trey Smack at the end of the Arkansas game, where so many people were very upset with him missing the field goal, which I understand. But I will say this, to this point in his career, Trey Smack has not missed a field goal under 40 yards. He's never missed a field goal under 40 yards. 5 yards for a false start, 5 yards for a screenplay that you lost 5 yards on. Took you from 37 to 47. He's never missed a field goal under 40. You win, and 42 is way easier than 47, especially at the college level. I will also say this, that was his first missed field goal of in that 40 to 49 range this season. Okay? So I will say that as well. That it's not like he's missing easy field goals. Like he's only missing the incredibly difficult ones, which for me, college kid, hard for me to fault him. But you made things harder for yourself with the penalty that started it, and then the screen is which I think was a result of the penalty that Billy Napier was like, oh, we've got to go real conservative here. And it was too conservative and bit you in the rear end there. So play clean football, avoid those stupid penalties, avoid turnovers, which not all turnovers are stupid. So avoid stupid turnovers, avoid stupid penalties, and you put yourself in a better position to win the game against a Kentucky team that, again, wants to make this messy, wants to get you doing boneheaded things and getting those kinds of penalties, which I will say this. Florida hasn't had a lot of guys that are repeat offenders all the time. And Hayden Hansen has mentioned this on the show before, where he goes, you know, it's like it's not consistent guys that are always screwing things up. It's that there's someone uncharacteristically screwing up always. Like it's just things like that just bite you in the butt. And it sucks, but it happens. Can't happen if you want to win this game. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free wherever you listen to podcasts. We will be back tomorrow after the Kentucky game. Win, lose, or draw, I guess. We'll say just for the sake of keeping the saying. We will be back after that game. For Locked On Gators, I'm Brandon Olsen. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with New York Giants on SI, and I'll see you all next time.